Teaching styles develop over time, and many experienced teachers confess that developing your own distinctive style is a matter of trial and error. In this programme, we're going to meet two NQTs who are about to try new techniques. Finlay Curry teaches geography at Airedale High in Castleford, Yorkshire.
I'm interested in them experiencing lots of different ways to learn.
Victoria Oldroyd teaches ICT at King James's School in Knaresborough, also in Yorkshire.
I'm really looking forward to trying something new.
Our NQTs will depend on help and advice from their mentors.
And I think the great thing about this lesson is that it's going to enable you to develop a new style.
They'll be encouraging them as they plan the teaching techniques they hope will help them develop their own preferred styles.
I don't want to be standing in front of the class and asking the class to give me lots of facts. I want to try and get away from that. With Year 8, I'm going to get them to use a lot more imagination in their classes, thinking on their own without me feeding them information. So basically, I'm letting the reins out a little bit. They can go a little bit further and then expand on this and give me some essays and give me some different types of work back. The original idea came from a book called Thinking Through Geography. However, I trawl through resources on the internet, teachers, books, libraries. I get information from everywhere I can do for inspirations. And I'm always looking for new ideas to teach them. And there's a lot out there. There's no need for me to just stand here and talk and teach in the old traditional way that I was taught. No need for it at all.
Finlay's mentor, Karen Elliott's keen to help.
I'm going to try and get them to understand what it's like to be in a situation and to almost do a role play. But the role play is going to go on in their own imagination. So their objective is to find out how people are affected by tornadoes.
He did teach a lesson where he stand at the front and instruct and the kids get along in that way. But he's starting to diversify away from that a little bit more and coming up with new and original styles of teaching. Hopefully using imagination in this lesson and so on.
So I think there's a bit of a risk with some of these kids about using their imagination. Some of them are in touch with it quite easily, but some of the kids just aren't used to using their imagination.
Yeah, you're saying that you don't think a proportion of the class will be in touch and be able to imagine things. I think you could say that with a lot of activities that we actually do. And I think just a different learning style, a different way for them to learn something, I think that's good, and I think we should try and keep with that. I think the lesson will be a success, and I'm pleased with Finlay for having a go at something new.
The planning's over, the lesson's about to start.
What I'd like to do with you now is I'd like to tell you a real situation where someone was caught in a tornado. And then I'm going to stop. But when I stop, I want you guys to continue this experience in your head as though you are that person and you are in this story. My mother and father had been quiet all afternoon, watching the sky together, occasionally muttering and shaking their hands and their heads. The sky was a sickly greenish black colour, and the clouds moved really fast round and round and round. Suddenly Dad jumped up and shouted, "Into the cellar now! There's a twister coming!"
It's very different. It's not the kind of thing that we usually do in geography that often. We do sometimes, but not that often. And it's a different style of learning that pupils might not be familiar with. It just so happens that it fits really nicely as well into the topic he's doing about tornadoes. And so I think it'd be a good thing for him to do at this stage. I think he's pretty confident with the class in that if it doesn't work, he'll be able to pull them back in.
I'd like you to compare differences and similarities. I'd like you to read each other's, right? So maybe you could swap over books and read each other's, right? But I'd like you to compare similarities and differences.
Developing your teaching style is a trial and error process. Basically, you need to practice these things, you need to be confident enough to have a go.
Straight after the lesson, a quick debrief with Finlay's mentor.
Hi, how did that go?
Good. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, they went for it. They used their imagination really well. So that was good. I think they really enjoyed the lesson. It was a huge departure from our normal type of learning in the classroom.
Were you worried about them? You know, they worry about them going off track. Did they go off track?
Yeah, some of them did.
Right.
And the two boys in particular did, and I knew they would do.
Right.
Yours was all death and destruction.
I would try and live. We were trying to kill him.
I don't know what you guys were imagining.
Were they all into the lesson? Were they all?
There was one girl at the back here who wasn't interested. In fact, she was quite unhappy about doing it. It's always about a third of the class don't like doing it. don't like using their imagination. Or,
I ain't got an imagination.
Some people find it really difficult to relax. So to use your imagination, it's a difficult thing. It's not always easy. So don't feel bad that you can't remember everything. Yeah?
But the rest did, that's important.
Yeah, it was good.
It's important as well that you tried something different, and it kind of worked, okay?
Yeah.
It did work.
I thought that kind of style of lesson went really well, and I'm really looking forward to using it again. I can think of lots of different ways I can use it, so it's looking hopeful for the future to use that style again.
Victoria Oldroyd usually favours the whiteboard for her ICT lessons. Today, she's going to try something different. The pupils will abandon their desks and chairs for the floor, and a small but very sophisticated robotic dog will help her teach the class about how computers use sensors.
I think my teaching style so far just comes from how you have to teach IT and how the classrooms are laid out. So my teaching style mostly revolves around me doing a demonstration or an activity based on the whiteboard. I do feel it's a style that I feel comfortable with, but sometimes I feel more comfortable when we're doing activities, when the kids are getting to take part more in what we're doing, because I just feel that gets them more involved in the lesson.
Tuesday afternoon.
Like Finlay, Victoria takes advice from her mentor before road testing the new teaching style.
I mean, you build up a way of working, don't you? I suppose you build up a learning style that you've taught through university, and then when you come into teaching, you carry it on.
Yeah.
To start off with, Victoria's teaching style was very kind of textbook. It was very chalk and talk for the first 10 minutes and then a big activity. And I think that she is now, because she's picking up lots and lots of different age groups of pupils, and of course she's doing the work with the IBO dog, she's started to realise, I think, that she can't just teach in that one particular way.
And I might have to just sort of step back a bit, obviously still keeping control and managing the lesson, but it's somewhat going to be more out of my hands. So it is going to be a very different style of teaching. Once I get in there and see how they respond to it, hopefully I will then learn from that, and I'll be able to carry that on into future lessons.
I think that's the key thing, isn't it? And, I mean, having the opportunity to do this lesson is great, because after this you have got that experience, you've got that different style that you can then apply to other situations.
Yeah. Obviously nervous about the things that might go wrong, but I think sitting in the environment where we're not behind computers and I can see them all and see how they're all reacting to what's going on, and it's going to be so much more interactive for the whole lesson. I mean, I'm going to be interacting with them, every one of them, for the whole lesson. I'm really excited about that.
You'll remember that I told you that we're doing something a bit special today, and you're really lucky because you're one of the first groups of people to see it, and it is IBO, the robot dog. Okay, but the aim of today's lesson is to understand how computer control works through the use of sensors. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at how IBO uses his sensors. And I'm going to put the ball down and I'm going to say to him, find your ball. Now, what sensor will he used first? Hearing, good. Now then, something happens to it in his computer brain, and it begins with P. What happens to it? Begins with P. It's processed. Brilliant. So, the name for how IBO works, this whole process together, is computer control.
Lesson over. How was it for Victoria?
I think that lesson was quite successful, but I would hope that all my lessons are quite successful. So I think they understood the concept.
Think about it. Put yourself in your house, right? Close your eyes. Where do you think in your house that you might be able to see an example of computer control?
I really enjoyed it. I much preferred having it like that setup with the circle and me leading the lesson. I felt it would enable me to get to know all the pupils better. I think they get to show their personalities more in situations like that. So I think it went well.
Right, just 1 second, go back and now add some sounds to it. Do the action again, but add a sound. So who would know what he is now?
It's me.
Right, good. All right, thank you very much.
That situation with that teaching style where it was interactive and I was leading the whole thing actually does wonders for your confidence.
Finlay and Victoria were both keen to get support from their mentors. So what's their advice for NQTs taking the first steps in developing their own style?
For an NQT, I think reflection is the key to develop yourself as a teacher, and also, of course, to develop teaching styles. I think it's very important for NQTs, particularly, to develop different teaching styles very early on in their career. Otherwise, you can get very narrow-minded and very focused on one particular style. And of course, we all know that children are all different. They learn different ways, and therefore you have to teach in different ways too.
Regardless of whether you're a mature NQT or an NQT fresh out of university, I do think it's important to be confident and to give new teaching and learning styles a go. And don't be frightened of it failing, because sometimes they do fail. Okay, and it's important to have a go and make sure that you speak to your mentor, and if anything's gone wrong, get tips for improving it perhaps in the future, and be persistent, keep with it.
NQT expert Angie Melderes is both a teacher trainer and an academic at Leeds University. She's studied a wide variety of teaching styles.
Look how far away.
What's her view on how style develops?
Your style stays with you, whoever you're teaching, but the techniques you'll be using will be different according to the age of children and according to particular types of children.
Sir, can we do this word search?
Many teachers actually, starting out in the profession, imagine that they have to become someone else. They have to kind of play the part of being a teacher. And what is actually important is to find the teacher within you.
So it could be a smoke detector, so it could detect smoke, or what else? Heat, brilliant.
Use what it is you're already good at to support the development of your own teaching style. You may, of course, want to or need to branch out away from things you're already good at because of the different learning styles of your learners, but the starting point will always be yourself.